Hello, everyone. All right. I see our amazing panelists are starting to join. I'm really excited for everybody who's going to be watching the webinar today, live or after the fact. While we wait for anyone who is joining us live, if you wouldn't mind dropping your name and where you're dialing in from. Do people still say dialing in? I feel like that's definitely aging me. Where you're viewing from today. And while you do that, I would love to ask our panelists just a really quick icebreaker. And feel free, chat friends, to also jump in on the fun. But since we're talking about AI today, what is an AI tool, platform, feature that you cannot live without in your day-to-day life?
Addie, you go first.
Okay, so I don't have one. I have three. I use ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini in parallel, and in relevant chats, I just compare their questions all the time. So I have all screens open and just looking at the best answer to get, and I just continue with the one that provides me the best answers. So I'm juggling between them.
Amazing. Which one's your favorite as of right today? Who's winning today?
Today, it's ChatGPT, but we're going to transform the entire organization into Gemini Enterprise. So I'm trying, massively to get used to it more and more.
Nice. How about you, Meredith?
I use Copilot and ChatGPT, and we obviously have one specifically for GoTo. And same thing that Addie is saying. I also feel like I have a little note to myself on my computer to do something with AI or digital effectiveness like every day if I can. So it's awesome to have a great team at my company who's made that so accessible to us too.
Amazing. I'm going to put in a plug. I have been using Notebook LM, the Google product, in both my personal and professional life. I have found it is so great at reading data, so large spreadsheets, and showing me, different data points of comparisons and where I should be watching out for. And for any parents out there, I'm also responsible for coordinating the holiday party that's coming up. And it can also take the one from last year and add in new signups, so I don't have to do it twice. So Notebook LM. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
All right. So do you have an AI tool that you love using in your everyday life?
So from a professional perspective, we're a Gemini shop. So we've gone very, very deep into building gems. So everything from supporting managers, having coaching and feedback conversations with their employees, being able to practice, write scripts on feedback. So we've rolled out a few gems related to that. And then we created one for all employees around growth and career development. So if you get free feedback, hey, I could be a better communicator or better writer, put that in, and then the gem will actually guide you on a professional development track. And then on the personal front, like you, Janelle, I have been going very deep with ChatGPT. So for every subject for my kids, for my 10-year-old, I have a little a simulation of what her teacher tests. And then the GPT is able to give practice problems and things like that, very custom to that.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I'm so excited. It looks like we've got a great quorum, both of panelists and folks on the chat. So I'm going to pop open our slides now, which I feel like screen sharing is still the scariest thing we do, even in 2025. One would think we would be ready for it. All right. Can my panelists, can you see the slides we have here?
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing. All right. Well, everyone, I want to welcome you to the main event, which is our online web series, HR GameChangers. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, this is our 15th episode, which is so exciting. And I'm really stoked to talk about today how AI is transforming work, from building literacy and integration tools to driving responsibility and adoption and measurable results. If you have any peers or colleagues that would love to be a part of this series in the future, I'm going to go ahead and drop the registration link in the chat. And please note to all of our chat friends, we will be taking Q&A. So if there's a question that you would like to ask during the webinar, please share those in the chat too, and I will record them. And so I'm going to go ahead and advance us here. And it looks like we do have a replacement, a change, a welcome replacement here. So I want to make sure we call out that Beth is not joining us, but we will continue on. So let's do some introductions. I'm Janelle Henry. I'm the moderator of this series, and I currently work at Stripe in talent and brand. Prior to that, and partially continuing, I was head of people at Rad AI, where we were a GoProfiles customer. And that's where I came to discover this amazing platform and this really fun series. And we were just huge fans of the way it allowed us to collaborate at Rad AI. And so I'm really excited to see so many people using the platform, and then also the platform, gratitude for them for hosting this podcast. So today's conversation is all about AI work, literacy, and strategy. That is a mouthful. We have a great panel today, so I'm going to welcome each one of them. And before they come off mute, the question I would love to ask each of you, Addie, you're going to go first, is what was your first paying job and your most recent job?
So actually, it took me time. Hi, everyone. It took me time just just to recall, but I think it was Wendy's, the hamburger.
Wendy's, home of the
Yeah.
Frosty.
Yeah. So I think that I've lasted there only 1 month or so, but that was the first one. The first serious one actually was the consulting firm where I used to be a management consultant. I grew up as OD in the organizational development domain. And I think that everything that I've learned in those 4 years, I'm using when I'm building organizations, infrastructures, etc. Most probably I'll relate to that. But that was, apart from university, that was my real college.
Amazing. And tell us about your most recent job.
Yeah, so in the past 3.5 years, I'm the CHRO at Elementor. Elementor is a web creation platform. Actually, right now, 13% of the internet is built on Elementor, and we are growing. So that's a huge pride. And we have communities of users. We are a B2C organization naturally. And we have communities of users around the globe. Wherever you look at and use a pin, we have a community of users that learn our product, use our product, etc., which is great. We are 9 years old, so we are relatively young, growing, several hundred employees, and we're placed in 20 countries. So this is us, this is Elementor, an amazing organization who's growing and learning how to use AI in the organization on top of the AI that we're implementing in our products naturally.
That's amazing. Well, it's wonderful to have you. Up next, Meredith Hawkins. Meredith, you've got quite the fan base going on. It looks like it's a former colleague reunion of yours in the chat thread.
It's so nice. I had totally no idea. And I think it's LinkedIn. I posted something. And so it's super nice to see some names from my past of people I haven't seen in a long time, especially Nelson Sousa, who has got a special place in my heart. We hired him as an intern, and he has had a fantastic career in HR, starting as an HR intern at an old company I worked at. So makes me
Shout out to Nelson.
That's right. And of course, also to Brett and Lisa, who I worked with at a few other companies they're also excellent. So thank you, Addie. So my first job, I was thinking about this. Babysitting probably doesn't count, but I was a babysitter. But I'd say like my first paying job was at the Flanders Fish Market in Connecticut, where I'm from. I absolutely loved being in the food service industry, and I was a waitress for many years. And I think it taught me so many great things. I learned I was very good at multitasking. I was good with customer service, and I enjoyed working with groups of people. So yeah, that really set me up for, you know, my career working with people, which I do every single day. Yeah. And then, and you went on my current job. So I work, currently I'm the chief people officer at GoTo. We're kind of originally started, it's a long story, but in Budapest, we have our kind of origin story starts there. For some of our products, we have two different product sets, but basically, we are in a unified communication space, and we're also in the IT space. So if you ever had a problem with your computer and you're working remotely and someone sort of remoted in and it was your internal help desk person, we have a whole bunch of products related to that. And then we actually we have a product called GoToMeeting, which is similar to Zoom and those other products, but we have a much larger suite of products beyond that that are related to kind of unified communications and customer care centers that are related to the whole kind of telephony world there. So things to help your communication be easier across all areas of your work life, I guess is the best way to put it. We're a fairly complicated business, and we're a SaaS business. We kind of play more in the SMB space. So I've been in this role for about 2.5 years, but I've been with GoTo when it was first Log Me In, and then we rebranded it as GoTo since I've been here since about 2019, I think, in many positions. And my career really kind of started more on the business partner side and then moved into the chief people officer role.
That's fantastic. Love to hear you know, when people have been at a place for quite some time and all of their growth. So that's fantastic.
Thanks.
And last but certainly not least, Sehal, it's wonderful to see you.
Yes,
Same
thank you.
question for you. First paying job and most recent job.
So thank you for having me. So first job was in high school, and I lasted 24 hours as a stock clerk for a retail. So my family would always joke that that was the first start. But my first real job was in management consulting, corporate strategy after graduating undergrad. And we established a consultancy which really focused on the people elements of strategy, because strategy, we were leaving clients with such expensive slide decks. Today, I am at an HR technology company called Deputy. We help our frontline workers. So essentially a full payroll shift product for frontline work. I was a CPO at a public company with 14,000 folks in the field. And so I really have a passion for this technology, and it really creates that ability for folks to manage shifts and then compliance.
Amazing. Well, we are so glad to have all three of you here. I'm going to pop the slides back up now and advance us. And again, just wanted to say how excited I am that everyone is here. And if you're interested in exploring GoProfiles, I did drop the link in the chat, but it's been a fantastic tool that I've enjoyed using. And they also have a free plan. Who doesn't love a free plan before the holidays? So today's discussion points, here's what we're going to be covering. We're going to talk a little bit about AI literacy, how we can build organizations and understand build organizational understanding and comfort with AI tools and concepts. We'll talk about strategic integration, so helping you all find high impact areas where AI can streamline operations. Change management, always a spicy topic. How to prepare teams for the said AI adoption. Responsible AI usage. How can we as leaders ensure ethical, compliant, and privacy first implementations? And measuring impact. That's always, everyone wants to know. Show me the money, show me the savings, right? How can we evaluate ROI, performance improvements for AI initiatives? And so with that, I just want to, again, remind everybody to go ahead and drop any questions they have in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let's get into it, shall we? All right. So the first question that we have, I know AI can feel overwhelming for many employees. From your personal experience, how can HR leaders build AI literacy across their organization to ensure teams are comfortable and confident using AI tools?
I'll start.
Amazing.
Thank you, Chanel. So I think that you've nailed the critical word, which is feeling comfort and comfortable with the AI tools. We put a lot of thinking in how we can make our employees adapt the AI tools, but not just adopt them, but feel comfortable with them, increase their exposure into the various tools that we have. So we came up with an initiative saying in the next 6 months, which just end now, it's actually the entire H2 of the year of 2025. We've offered each and every employee of us a budget of $50 per month, just for you to experience various AI tools. And we've built an infrastructure, an operational one, that allows you to replace the tools that you are having very quickly. So if on 1 month I used, I took a Notebook LM Pro, okay, we're talking about the Pro versions that you paid for, and Midjourney. And the month after, I could have switched it to 2 other tools. And that's the entire 6 months. And we encouraged our employees just to replace the tools and get to know as many of them. And since this period of time is about to end, we've told them, go and everything that you've learned using, just a bit practicing with AI, let's have some competition, because, a competition is always nice. And we've conducted an event. We've sort of built an arena or a ring, and we said, let's go fighting, let's go boxing. So people that had ideas and wanted to showcase what they've built using AI came to the arena, even wore boxing gloves and everything. We have the entire background and everything. And with their laptops, they had 3 minutes just to showcase what they've built, and they've competed each other up until, the winning ones that needed to compete with our CTO, live vibe coding, just live. So with that, we've got many ideas, many employees approaching us and serving their applicants. And we've really focused in the past 6 months, just encouraging the employees to use the tools just to feel comfortable with them. Later on, I'll share what we're doing right now, because after you feel comfortable with them, you need to showcase some outcomes as well.
I love that arena idea. I love kind of putting, some fun behind it, because it can be overwhelming to learn a new tool. And especially you always think, I think everyone else knows how to use this, right? Anyone else have any ways that have been particularly effective?
Yeah, I think, first of all, you have to kind of step back and think about, there's not a one size fits all for getting comfortable with AI. I think it also depends on what your role is in the company and what function you work in. So I would say, like what Addie was saying, obviously our engineers have been much more immersed in AI out of the gate, and our CTO has been really driving that. She has a whole AI enablement team, and they've been doing some really great work. We do regular hackathons, and similar to what Addie's saying, AI played a very primary role in recent hackathons, and some of the winners specifically, we're going to be integrating some of their AI ideas into our products. But then there's some other organizations, even like my own organization, where there's people aren't using AI as much. They're not exactly sure how to apply it. They haven't seen nearly as much sharing of use cases, which I don't know about folks on this call, but I'm very much a visual learner, and so I think learning style also comes into play with that. Some people like to go off and kind of play around on their own, but other people are like, okay, it's a really broad concept. I don't even know where to begin. So I do think it's also important to kind of consider the type of folks in your function. And so as I've been thinking about how do I get my own team more comfortable with things, I'm working with my head of L&D to come up with ways that we can find out from our own employees, what our own employees within my people organization, what do you want to learn about, what interests you, what scares you, what are you concerned about, and then sort of tailor whatever we come up with to kind of meet their needs where they are. And I think use cases are probably the best thing, and we've seen that from our CTO organization, some of the product and engineering folks that have we've held webinars throughout the company that where you can just kind of come and people will share, hey, I had this problem and this is how I figured out how to use AI to help me fix it. And then and so then you can sort of say, oh, I didn't even think about that I could do it this way. Marketing just built this really cool tool, and to get clarification much more quickly from the data. And so I'm working with my head of HR ops and saying, we should be able to sort of take that and try that with our data from Workday. And then, you reach out to other people across the company. So that's helped us as well.
Fantastic.
I can jump in. So I think it's a 3-part journey for us. So one is, of course, as everybody mentioned, the product innovation on AI. How is automation fitting into that? Secondly is the company, and I think AI is not just the technology that is changing so quickly, as Addie mentioned, 1 month X or Y has like the flavor. So the technology will continue to evolve. But I think AI, especially for us as HR leaders, I think it's a mindset shift. And so again, it's not just about the technology aspects about AI, but how do we grow that hunger? So one of the things that we've done is also incorporated AI now into our core competencies. And then,
fantastic.
yeah, because, this is a new way of applying completely, like how we work is going to transform and has already transformed. And then the third is just us as an HR team. In some ways, I feel like we have been the leaders of driving this automation. Most often, we're the ones with the least, most manual processes sometimes because the systems don't connect and headcount constraints. And so I'm so proud of the team for really just diving in. We're having a hackathon on tomorrow, and this activity is going to really involve everybody showcasing, whether it's people ops, talent acquisition, or people partners, showcasing gems and automation tools that they're building. So really excited for that. And AI is about doing. So I think the more people just start doing versus sitting in webinars or learning, AI 101, I think that's really helped the team a lot.
I think that's such an important call out, and it's something that we tried on my most recent team, where we tend to send Friday snippets, of a rose and a thorn and a focus area. And one of the things that we tried to do is have everyone share a use case for AI that they used, and it could be in their personal life, because I think it's really important that people just start somewhere. And so for the first several weeks in our snippets, people would say, I made a really funny picture of my dog wearing a Halloween costume. And it starts to build the comfort, right? Of, oh, okay, well, maybe the next time I could use that same tool to shape shift a picture that I might be using for a presentation. It's all very much connected, but I do think it's just very much about jumping in. It's kind of a follow-up question about how you all have been integrating in your teams. We know that not every process is fit for AI, especially within HR. Where are areas that you actually do see a connection within your business, within your current role, where AI can really streamline operations and improve outcomes?
So you'd like us to relate to our areas or in the organization as a whole? What's the focus?
However you'd like to answer that, yes.
Okay.
We've seen it really a lot of success outside of the people organization and the customer care side, and using agentic AI. We've had excellent success with that on both sides of our business. And as I'm thinking about within the people team, I would say on the front line of our HR operations areas, like how it's not to replace those folks, but to take away some of the very, very rote kind of questions they have. We actually have this great chat bot that we built internally that's really more of like a G&A chat bot. And it's had, what was the stat? I just looked at a stat around this yesterday. With it's something like 83% of the questions that it was asked, like they did not get escalated to our HR operations team. So it's been excellent. So we used it during open enrollment, and we had really, really good results. And I think the industry standard is something like 80 to 85% of I guess, I don't know what's the word, like success rates or whatever. So 83 is really, really good. So that's been very helpful. And then it does, and I think what we're seeing is it really frees up time for folks. So that's where I think we talked a little bit about this, or you referenced a question around, you know, some of the change management of it. I do think people are concerned about, obviously we hear this all the time, AI is taking my job. And really what we're focused on is how can AI enhance your job? So how can you partner with AI? And it's that human AI connection. So we've seen it there, and also in, I think Brett put this in the chat here, the for L&D, and also our TA team has been leveraging it really successfully out of the gate. So like for the last year. I'll let someone else talk.
Meredith,
Yeah,
I think. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I think AI is ubiquitous. I mean, every function across the company and every individual at every level, I think it has huge potential. And again, most of it could be like foundational automation. We all communicate, we all have to write, we all have to make beloved slide decks. So, you know, in terms of all of those foundational just ways of operating in the business, all of that leverages AI. And then especially with the people team, every single pillar of our organization, talent acquisition down to HR operations to people partners, have found a use case that they are pushing into the organization. So, you know, even if you're a recruiter, how is the CV orienting to the questions that you're going to ask for interviewers? How is that, you know, supporting sourcing? So I think across the board, I have, seen AI adoption really benefiting across the board.
Addie, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah. So in a lecture that we gave, we've brought, you know, with some AI experts to our senior leadership forum. The lecturer said, whatever activity that I'm conducting twice, I'm start thinking about how can I automate it, or how can I add AI into it. And with that mindset, which I think is great, we approach each and everything that we do at the company. In my teams, which are all traditional HR teams, as well as the operations, IT, procurement, they also report to me. So we have various of continuing and ongoing activities that we're using AI to improve. But we've tried to implement a mindset in which you will look at the outcome. Maybe it also relates to the ROI. What's the outcome of using AI? And we've split it into 4+1. I think the 4 are very measurable, concrete ones, and the 5th one is pretty soft. But we're looking at increasing productivity or efficiency or velocity of a process. That's one outcome. Even lubricating a process, that's one thing. Cost saving, actually, you know, saving, reducing a tool that we used to buy from the outside, etc. That's a second outcome. The third one is acceleration of revenues, innovation, outcomes, etc. And the fourth one is reducing risk or errors, which are very relevant in some areas in the company. The 5th one actually is a very soft one, is the feeling that you can generate outcomes in the company very easily. You don't need to struggle. So we've identified those 4+1 outcomes, and whatever we do, we are trying to map and ask ourselves, does it give any concrete outcome that translates into one of those 4+1? If it's not, then it's not worth investing in. If it is, then let's go and do some AI in it.
That's fantastic. And Rachel had a great comment in the chat where she said, helping to build policies by providing initial outlines, starting points to build upon. And it really got me thinking, I have been trying to become a gardener and I'm terrible at it. And you know how you can go to the store and you can buy seeds or a starter plant? I really do feel as though in many ways, some of these AI tools are starter plants. They are just giving you that little tiny bump that you need to grow your tomato plant into something that actually thrives and survives rather than staring ominously at the, overwhelming seeds and wondering, where do I even begin? So great point, Rachel, for sure. So on that, as you think about, even with having the right tools and the right ideas, the change can be hard in getting teams to adopt. How do you think HR teams can prepare employees for AI adoption while minimizing resistance and fostering engagement?
So I think I totally agree with you saying that we have change management elements. I think that I've run many changes in my organizational changes in my life. Here, this is a change management on steroids because everything is changing. The managers or the leaders are not the most, the smarter people in the room because we have many employees that are doing AI or feeling more comfortable with AI than us. So that's one thing that changes. Then we have processes changing. Then we are not relying necessarily on specific knowledge that an employee has. Actually, everything is changing. So I find the leader's role crucial in this change management. And we're finding ourselves focusing on several elements that our leaders should have when they're leading change management, this change management. They need to feel comfort with the tools. You've mentioned that we spoke about it earlier, but we're focusing in that with our leaders, even in an offsite that we've conducted last week. Our management team, we sat there to practice how we are, vibe coding and building with AI because we're the management of the company. If we won't be role modeling, being, comfortness with the tools, and, we cannot expect it from our employees. We need to bring agile mindset to, the leadership roles because, a leader needs to imagine how the future looks like and not stick to the current status when he pushes the employees to change, processes, to implement improvements, etc. We're looking at the long-term, outlook versus just the here and now. I mean, if I'm learning right now a new tool or how to create vibe coding or even how to build automations with Zapier or N8N or any other tool, I'm investing time in learning them. And in the meanwhile, I'm not necessarily producing, a here and now outcome. So leaders that are foreseeing the future and prefer, in a way, the long term, not just the here and now. And I think that anything that has to do with leadership courage, because you're changing everything and you are the one, the leader that needs to push it. You are the one that are taking the gambles and everything. So what we do is that we are acknowledging the fact that we have a massive change management and we are focusing on our leaders, their capabilities to lead this change and to encourage the employees to take it one step further.
Anyone have anything to
It
add?
wasn't too long, but I'm really invested in this area. It's leadership, it's change management, and the fact that it's technology, AI, it has nothing to do with that. It's just like another change, but a massive, massive one.
Yeah, I was going to say what Allison had said on the chat. AI is not replacing humans, but humans that are functional with AI will replace those that are not. So that is the gist. And I think, as an HR leader, I feel like it's our precedent to make sure that our employees are all going to have access and the mindset to be able to embrace the AI. And so I think one of the things we did is you've got to, as a leader, you've got to start, showing and demonstrating the agility. So one of the first things we did is we had, us really as an executive team really lean into the AI journey. We all took to it. We all started leveraging it. Another piece, I think Addie mentioned on the change management front, the more people see this and hear this and it becomes a ubiquitous, the more people gain comfort. So, at our all hands, we have a showcase where we share somebody using this a little bit, Janelle, to your weekly idea. Every all hands, we showcase somebody who has cracked a really big nut or just, automated something and how they've done it. And we go into the deep, like, hey, this is what I use. This is how I started thinking about it. So that it builds comfort and it builds that mindset of, oh, great, I've been struggling with something repetitive and let me try embracing AI. So the more you make it normal and the more you showcase how others are doing it, I think that has been also a very motivating change management.
Nice.
The one thing I would just add is, and I know not everyone that's going to be listening to this or is going to watch it is in technology, but I do think if you work in a technology company, everything that Addie said, I think is pretty much what we live and breathe every day, AI or not. So there's certain competencies that we really look for at GoTo, and I think that align with other technology companies I've worked in, where you really have to thrive in this kind of AI environment or any tech environment. You have to be agile. You have to have a growth mindset. You have to be innovators, and you have to be comfortable with constant change because the tech landscape is incredibly competitive. So I don't think it's too much of I think if you remind people, hey, we're doing this already. This is bigger, and it's hitting across the whole company, but also to sort of demystify it a little bit and not make it so scary or threatening or what have you is helpful to kind of keep people calm. And then, like with any sort of change management 101, you've got to look for the folks that are willing to be the change champions, and they are the ones that are like within the organization that are leading the way. So yes, I agree, leadership needs to has to be top down, but we also need folks like kind of grassroots within the organization to bring people along and make them a part of the solution, so they don't feel like this is being imposed on them, that they're part of kind of forging the way through the new challenges.
Have any of you seen communication strategies that work really well when introducing AI initiatives? Is there any sort of practical tips I think we've talked about, great ways to use it and showing that leaders are modeling it, but does anyone have any real life examples of where do you even start? If I'm an HR leader, how do I communicate that this matters to my team?
I think you just start using it. So one of the, that's, I think, the key differentiator for AI. Sometimes change, you talk about it. I really think with AI and the tools, whether you're a Microsoft shop and you have ChatGPT or you're a Google shop and you have Gemini, it's available, right? So again, the ubiquitous nature of AI now being embedded even in Google Slides or in Excel, and then Gemini, it becomes, so, I'll give one quick example. Maybe 18 months ago, we were trying to think of revamping competencies. So we needed to make them simpler. And so again, I was on the phone with my team and we were brainstorming like, okay, this is needed. Our cycle is kicking off in 6 weeks. Is this even possible? And so again, the folks on the team, they're like, wow, competencies, with all the buy-in and the layers, it probably takes like 4 to 6 months. And I just took our current competencies and I put it into ChatGPT during the meeting, created a Word document, and I said, hey, how's this as a thought starter? And everybody was like silent and they looked at it and they're like, okay, I guess we can get it done in 2 weeks. So I think the doing aspect of it is showing people, and I just can't be like more of a fan of just embrace it and do it and model it, and it just becomes the culture in the team.
I mean, I think the only thing more popular than using AI is talking about using AI, right? I think you're so right in just kind of in jumping in there. On that note, so as we're thinking about using it, sharing it out, the communication plans, we're all under a tremendous amount of focus and responsibility to deliver impact and to have great results. And so How do you all think about measuring success? Are there particular measures that you as HR leaders use to track, evaluate the effectiveness of AI adoption? What are some things that you can share with the audience?
This one's always tough. I think especially in the
It is.
world of people, where it's really hard to isolate those variables. And I talk with my team about this all the time. I think just in general, people analytics, it's hard to say what, because we did this, it moved the needle over here. But I liked what Addie had said recently about outcomes. I love how I was actually wanted to ask you if the way those 5 outcomes that you talked about, the 4 hard ones and the 1 soft one, if so, I don't want to switch the conversation, Janelle, but this is related.
Yeah, go ahead.
What did you drive those outcomes? Like, did you determine those, Addie, or was that from the ELT? Like, how did you come up with those? Because I do think if to be able to measure the impact on the, whatever it is that you're trying to do, it certainly helps that the ELT is aligned around those, and everyone kind of agrees on how we're going to measure those things and who's responsible for what actions that are going to drive those outcomes.
Yeah. So we recently took a decision to put some resources that on top of all employees that need to build and use AI, they are the ones that will do, the real hard work. We call them AI business partners, just to help you build whatever you need. And with those champions that you already mentioned, and of course the leadership from the top, encouragement. We're providing that in order to promote the ideas that come up from the field. And each one of those initiatives needs to be mapped into the 4+1, one or more out of the 4+1 outcomes. So that's a language that we are trying to implement. You're not just using AI or talking about using AI, you're using that in order to, again, map them into one of the 4+1. If you cannot translate them into one of those, then it's not worth it. So you will get resources only if you can demonstrate this added value, those outcomes, and gradually it will become the language that everyone uses, or the way the mindset shift into measuring the various initiatives. And it becomes more and more common in a way. So that's the way we look at it.
Fantastic. We've taken on an approach this year, we're in the performance review season, where we're just now even asking some of our folks, tell us how you've used AI this year, right? I think it's really building that muscle memory as we're trying to figure out how to measure the impact, because I think it is really complicated to say, if this, then this. But I think this group has really echoed that it very much is about adoption and support, and how many at bats you can get, and not your final the final score of what you've got. We do have a couple of questions in the chat here. I want to make sure I get to them. So Liz asked, I'm hearing that a lot of change management plan is often the most important piece that is missing with effectively embedding AI tools into the workplace. I'd be interested in hearing your experiences with this. Do we have any change management plan experiences from this panel?
I think a lot of the initial studies have been conflicting. So I think there was like a false or misquoted MIT study that recently came out that said when companies are rolling this out, it's actually not leading to productivity gains. And so again, I think from the noise of all of this, the challenge is that when companies are rolling out AI, it's kind of one and done and then forgotten. And I think with AI, given how much change there is, just even in terms of the technology and the application, like even just in the last 10 days, I noticed like a step function shift in how Google and Gemini they've really upped their game for AI, and now almost comparable to the others. So with that, I think you have to continually check in and continually update on how is this technology changing? How are we evolving usage? And it's not just a one and done and forget it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'll relate to your performance question because we're right now in the midst of, trainings to the managers as well as the employees to the performance management process that starts at the end of December, and conversations will take place in January. So we've decided to implement what Zapier actually have built, the four
great.
levels of proficiency that they've came up with. We find them to be very accurate to what we need. So just in short, in case you don't know it, but the first level is someone who resists AI or says, you know what, it won't hold, I'll just wait until it passes. It's just a trend. The second level are the ones that use, whether it's ChatGPT or many others tools, just to consult with, build, write messages with, etc., etc. But that's the basic usage of AI tools. The third one in the proficiency ladder are the employees that are actually building new processes, automations, inventing new stuff using AI tools. And the fourth one is really, is really far, but there are the transformers, the one that bring, a whole new concept based on, new tools, et cetera, et cetera. We put a goal to ourselves we assume that the majority of our employees, I'm not talking about the R&D engineers, the majority of the employees are at level 2, and we want to shift the majority of the employees one level up until the end of the year. Next year, I'm talking about 2026. And it's going to be part of the conversations in the performance management. And we acknowledge the fact we spoke about change management, and some employees will feel comfortable with this conversation, while some won't feel comfortable with this conversation. I mean, it has to do with my performance, me achieving goals. Why are you talking with me about my AI proficiency? I find it crucial to employees. You wrote here in the chat and mentioned here, we all need, in order to be relevant, all of us, we need to use right now AI. That's the game. I don't feel that we have a choice. So in order to do that, we want to map where you are and take you, support you with a robust L&D plan, massive trainings. We have AI gyms, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I'm supporting you, the employee, but I'm expecting you to go one level up in your proficiency. So that's what we're combining with the performance process. And believe me, we had many discussions. Should we combine it? Should we separate it? Is it a whole different, conversation, or is it related to the performance conversation? And we realized that it's part of, the employee's skill set and capabilities, and it's also part of his development journey that we're trying to encourage. This is why it needs to be bonded into the performance management. So, conversations are still ahead of us, but I can report on how they went. But I truly believe that it's part of the process because it just becomes part of everything we do.
Great. Well, I want to we're almost near time, and I'm going to ask one more question from the chat, and then we'll do one more quick kind of lightning question. But Orly in the chat asked, I'm curious what kind of enablement you offer in your organizations to help employees grow in the AI proficiencies. Anything that you all are thinking about that has made it easier to adopt AI, maybe Meredith or Sehal?
Go ahead, Sehal. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say what I said earlier around getting an understanding of what our employees are interested in learning about and where they feel the most angst or insecure or curiosity, and building programs based on that. So I think it's kind of, again, getting in a sense of where people are, and then being and providing meaningful training and development there. So I'm leaning heavily on my my head of L&D and her team to do that. And there's all kinds of, we have LinkedIn Learning too. I don't know, it depends on sort of what sort of resources and tools teams, people who are on this webinar have, but there's a lot of great resources out there, and I encourage you to kind of use AI and go and see what other kinds of resources you can find, especially if you're a smaller company. And that's the other thing we haven't really talked about, is that AI, I keep saying this, it isn't a one size fits all. I mean, you have to look at the journey that your company is on, the size of your company, the resources that you have, what industries you're in. I mean, yes, AI is transforming everything. You can't ignore it, but it's not, for some companies, it's going to be everything. And other companies, you're going to have to kind of figure out where can it add the most value for where you are on whatever journey that you're on. I work in a PE company, a PE owned company. And so, you know, it's not necessarily, these companies aren't held for a super long time, and there's going to be kind of a next iteration. So really, you don't necessarily have to think about the next 10 to 20 years of a company's journey.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was going to just add that when we rolled out, we started with a survey. So I do think just touching base with the employees at the start of the journey. How are people embracing AI? What are their concerns? What are their fears? Just making sure that you're checking in. It's a natural journey. Then really crafting the plan and the change management. I think that's really important. And then secondly, you know, as our people partner team, we've developed QBRs that we're running for the business. And so within this current QBR, we're going to actually feature an element that says, by the different functions, what is the best practice in how AI is being leveraged for increasing productivity or efficiencies? So I think that, you know, we, from a HR lens, are also driving for the functions. Work is changing, AI is here, and how are you evolving with it?
Oh, great. Well, I'm going to put up the final slides, but while I'm doing that, what should an HR leader do today? A quick answer to get more proficient, to inspire their teams. So just kind of jump in while I'm loading the slides. Actionable things.
Use AI and keep talking about it.
Love it.
Yeah, I agree. It's not brain surgery. It's literally just, and also potentially have like an AI talent strategy, you know, like spell it out. What it is it that you're doing and why, and share that with the company, with your function.
Build yourself, talk about it, encourage your employees to do it themselves. And while you're build something that serves your employees. I've just built something, you know, a nice WhatsApp notification for urgent emails that I need to sign for my employees. So they don't need to chase me. I get a WhatsApp that I see more often than the emails. So that serves them, and also role modeling to them that if I've built that, they can build something similar as well.
Fantastic. Well, I always learn so many things from these panels, and this was no exception to that. So thank you, everybody. And thanks to our great folks in the chat. So moving us to the end of our Game Changers, GoProfiles has surveyed last year 400 plus HR leaders to reveal their top priorities for 2026. They uncovered 3 major shifts redefining the HR agenda, which none of are probably shocking to us, but always great to have validation. The first is that AI is going to fuel HR's growth engine. Over 80% of organizations are prioritizing AI and automation in 2026 and using the data-driven insights to predict retention, etc. AI adoption remains uneven. Budgets are rising, but teams are still limited to task-level automation. And they may miss really viable opportunities to transform their engagement, productivity, and workforce. And AI maturity defines the divide. A 2-speed HR transformation is emerging. There's tech trailblazers leveraging AI, while others are focusing on compliance and basic automation. So I'm going to drop the link to this in the chat for those of you who are here. It's a really great report, and also something fantastic you can share with your teams. And then last Before we end here, I just want to thank our panelists again for sharing all of your incredible thoughts on AI. I think there was so many great nuggets of just getting out there and doing. There were some awesome strategies shared. And if you're live with us today, you can definitely pre-register for our upcoming episodes. We're going to start the new year strong in January with the Leadership Reset, where you're going to learn essential leadership skills for 2026 and beyond. No time like writing those New Year's resolutions. Maybe they can be leadership related. And then in February, we have the Q1 reset, linking performance to AI readiness and adoption. If you haven't checked out GoProfiles, please do. It's a fantastic tool. And I think it, as an HR professional, gives you lots of great things to activate and to explore with your teams. Thank you for being a part of this series. And I think with that, we are done. So I hope everyone has a wonderful December. Get those performance reviews done, wrap up all those final loose ends for 2025. And thank you for joining our session today. Take care, everyone.
Bye.